Colin. They obviously have Pete Carroll as their new head coach. Chip Kelly is the OC. Speaking at something called the SAC Summit, Max Crosby discussed how the Raiders revamped and said the OKC Thunder are something of a blueprint as they went from one of the worst teams in the league to the title winners. Crosby added that the Raiders has a lot of work to do. Colin, you think there's any kind of comparison here? OKC did go from, the outhouse to the penthouse in about 4 years.
Well, the division, let's agree on this. Has there ever been a better coach division in football? Reed, Sean Payton, Jim Harbaugh, Pete Carroll.
Strong.
So it's like, I was thinking about, this is ironic, I was thinking about this yesterday. I was watching Costa Rica, USA, and just, kind of browsing and looking at stuff, and I thought, is it possible, I looked at the Raiders' schedule, that Chargers, Broncos, Chiefs all make the playoffs, and if you look at the Raiders' schedule, I'm like, I counted 8 or 9 winnable games. No, I mean, look at their schedule. Now, there's some tough ones, like at Philadelphia, at Houston, late in the season, Kansas City. Those are tough games. But you start looking at this schedule, Jacksonville off a bye, Tennessee, Colts. We don't know what the Bears are, Dallas, Cleveland. There's some W's here for the Raiders.
Okay, so let's start at week 1. If they lose that game, then they have to play the Chargers in division, very tough game. Then they play at Washington. So, by the way, if you're tracking, that's a trip to New England, then back to the desert, then back to the East Coast again. Colin, they could easily start 0-3. Easily.
I'm not denying that. But when anytime I see the Colts, Titans, and Bears early in the season in a row, those are winnable games.
Yeah.
Bye, then hosting Jacksonville. I mean, Dallas and Cleveland back-to-back. Yeah, Schottenheimer could be on the ropes by week 11.
Yeah, let's talk about this. Because let's look at a doomsday scenario. I've talked about the Raiders so much and unpacked it from so many different ways, and I want to do this a little bit differently here for this as well. Because you guys know I believe in the Raiders tremendously. And, J-Mac is saying to Colin, like, hey, what about, they could start off 0-3. And let's just say they do. Let's just say, like, man, you let a tough one get away. Chargers are going to be a great team. It's a divisional game. We know these games can always get crazy. And the Commanders should be a great team as well. And it's just the way that it goes, right? The football gods are not on your side in those first 3 weeks. And you go 0-3. Here's the difference. In the past, you could pretty much be like, the season's over. Raiders done. Are they getting ready to fire the coach? Like, what's going on? Everyone's falling apart. We need a new quarterback. What are we doing? And you could just go on and on and on and on and on. But this is the benefit of actually being an organized team, of actually being a grounded team, of actually having legitimate leaders both on the field and off. Having Chip Kelly, having Geno Smith, having Pete Carroll. Obviously, you've had Crosby. Like this is the type of situation you now are building a team that can overcome these things. That you're not going to panic. That you are going to be like, it's okay. And then you come away with a great win against the Bears. You come away with a win against the Colts and against the Titans. And boom, now you're 3-3. You're in business. You're 3-3. There's lots of teams that are going to be 3-3, 4-2, 2-3. Lots of teams. That's how it works, man. That's how it works. It's football. It's the NFL. And then the name of the game is you don't have to beat KC, but you have to split against KC. So either week 7 or week 18, great. Then off a bye, you're going up against the Jags. And then you have another tough game against the Broncos. And right, I don't believe in the Cowboys. I don't think they're going to be as much of a disaster as Colin thinks they will. But again, if I believe that the Raiders are actually a good team, it's like, great. And then you got the Cleveland Browns. You want to talk about Schottenheimer hanging on? Like, what the heck is going on with the Cleveland Browns? I mean, I always make this joke because it's just like, who the heck is going to be the quarterback? Sorry. And then, yeah. So, even in a doomsday scenario where you got off to the worst start you can get off to, 0-3, it's like, it's still there. It's still there for you to compete, for you to fight, for you to get some wins, for you to now become, okay, yeah, we were 0-3 and now we're 3-3. Now we're 6-5, 6-6. 8-6. Like, it's all possible. It's all possible. And in a weird way, like especially if you start off 0-3, which again, I'm not saying they're going to, but let's say you are, then in a weird way, you'd almost be hoping that Kansas City runs away with the division, or they don't have to run away with the division, but they have to, have it locked in. And then week 18, you're not playing Mahomes, right? Everyone's resting or whatever. Because then you can come away with like finish out the season with 2 wins. And it's not to say that you can't beat the Chiefs even with everyone's playing. It's just, it's obviously going to be easier if they're resting all their starters and whatnot. But yeah, I do think the wins are there. I'm having an increasingly harder time to be confident with where any of these teams are going to be right now. Because in the summer, I'm very optimistic. I'm excited to see what some of these new quarterbacks can do, whether they've already been in the NFL or whether they've just been drafted, getting a new coach. Like it's just like a team like the Colts, the Jags, the Titans, like wildly different looks this year around. Even a team like the Cowboys that have been pretty consistent, they've been consistently good, not great from my viewpoint. Like they got a new head coach who's completely unproven. At least before it was like Mike McCarthy, right? You could accept that Mike McCarthy isn't this like, GOAT Hall of Fame coach, but like, he can coach, so that they were going to have like success. There is a chance that the Dallas Cowboys are just like, Schottenheimer has no idea what's going on here and it's just a free fall. Like that's technically possible. Again, I'm not necessarily predicting that, but like it is possible. So there are a lot of unknowns, and I do believe that a team like the Chargers and the Broncos are going to take steps forward. How much? I don't know. I honestly don't. I believe in both those teams, but like, do they take do the Chargers like really hit the ground running and now they're the team to beat? Do the Chiefs take a step back? I think the Chiefs are going to be a really great team still as well. So it's just like and again, I believe in the Patriots. Will they be able to get this all locked and loaded by week 1? I think it's interesting. Usually defenses are more ahead earlier on in seasons, defenses, and you have a defensive head coach. You have Vrabel, you're going up into like a new offense with Geno. You would almost say like, okay, you can kind of give maybe the advantage a little bit to the Patriots, but at the same time, you got Geno versus Drake May, seasoned veteran versus second-year starter. It's like, okay, maybe the advantage goes back to the Raiders. But again, that's the benefit of having established coaches now that you have on both sides of the ball. That any of these advantages or disadvantages you have will either be able to be exploited or minimized. And that matters. You got to be able to exploit and minimize. So, yeah. But it is great, too. The other thing, I almost forgot to say this, and this is what I meant to say in the beginning. They used to look for reasons to not talk about the Las Vegas Raiders, okay? It was just like, why talk about them? What's the point? And I would try so hard to make content, and as I've talked about a lot. And I just have to smile because it's like now they're just pulling anything they can to talk Raiders. It's Crosby points to OKC as as a talking point to turn the team around, and it's like, great, let's talk about that. It's like that doesn't really matter to me. It's just more of like an excuse to be like, what can we talk about the Raiders? I don't know. Crosby said something about Thunder. Great, whatever. We'll just use it as a jumping off point to talk about the Raiders and what they can do. Great, book it. Let's do it. And it's pretty cool. It is. It's pretty cool because it was the literal exact opposite, especially last year. It was just like, the Raiders, like something really interesting happened. It's like, should we talk about it? It's like, no, it doesn't matter. And it's like, are you sure? You just had something really interesting happen. And it's like, nah, who cares? And now it's the opposite. Now it's like, something interesting happened? No. But like something happened with the Raiders? Yeah. Okay, fine. We'll talk about it. Let's make it a segment. So that's pretty cool. So the Raiders, baby. Those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Las Vegas Raiders? What do you think about Crosby's point, which they barely even talked about because it is legitimately irrelevant, I'll be honest with you. But what do you think about their schedule and the potential that they could start 0-3? Would it even matter? I think it's probably safe to say that most Raiders fans do not believe that they're going to go 0-3, but let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.